Live.
Okay. So yeah. Shall we get this thing started? Are you ready back there? Very good. So we'll go ahead and do the full welcome to the official National History Gold Finals for intermediate school. My name's John. I'm a retired teacher from the Atlanta area, and to my left is
Dasha. I'm from Massachusetts.
but to my right is
I will also be scorekeeping. So I'm here.
and meanwhile, again, this playing floor is
I am Brad Richard. I'm from New York, scoring via the traditional white tournament. Practice my modeling fingertips for you.
and respect. For our audience of millions of people globally, doing the live feed is
I'm Connor Boyd from Florida, working your live stream.
probably has the most high tech and useful skill with any of us up here. So let's do a buzzer check and then we will get some of the details going. Start over here on my left, fire away for one red, two red, three red, and four red. Please be very, very certain that it is your buzzer when that your little light is shining, right? Right. And meanwhile, over here, four green I just saw, and three green. Or five green is the case may be. So you get four and five, right? Everybody knows who you are? It's so important to know oneself. Here we then go with the first quarter, 10 points for each toss. So question number one. During this war, James Stevenson led a group of militia at the Battle of Witham's Grove. This war featured the Buffalo Grove ambush, and the British band won the Battle of Stillman's Run. I'll continue. When the Battle of Stillman's Run in this war, a steamboat called the Warrior took part in this war at the Battle of Bad Axe, and Abraham Lincoln was a militiaman in this war. For 10 points, name this 1832 war between the U.S. and the Sauk Chief, which took place in Michigan Territory and Illinois. Yes. No answer, sorry. No points, no penalty, no blood, no balance, the Black Hawk War. Question number two. This man owned a dog whose name meant Little Bull Calf, which he used to kill many native people. And this man faced a revolt by Agua Yabana the Brave. This man who died fighting the Calusa was given a contract. That's the guy. And if you're in a fight, it's Ponce de Leon. So 10 points over here to my right. Next question, number three. One poem by this author envisions an ecstasy of fumbling, followed by the exclamation, gas, gas, quick, boys. Another of this author's poems sees a soldier escape the battlefield by going to hell and seeing an enemy soldier he killed the day before. This author of Strange Meeting and Anthem for Doomed Youth also wrote a poem which plays on the old Latin phrase, dulce et decorum est pro patria more, or it is sweet and proper to die for one's country. For 10 points, named as best known British poet of World War One. 25.
John.
No, I'm sorry. And, pardon me? No, it's not tense. It's a guy named Wilfred Owen. So, we'll let that one go. We'll on to number four. Toss up. This man allegedly snubbed athlete Jesse Owens. This man's power was consolidated after the Enabling Act. That's the guy. For 10. Toss up number five. This artist was commissioned by Chancellor Nicholas Roland for a painting in which a red-clad Madonna is crowned by an angel. This artist may have depicted himself in Man in a Red Turban, as it includes his motto, as well as I can, and a man wears a fur-trimmed hat while a woman stands at his side in a green dress in a painting. Answer, please. I'm sorry. Um, in a green dress in a painting by this artist created for an Italian merchant. For 10 points, name this Flemish artist of the Arnold Feeney wedding. Yeah, four. Good guess at Jan van Eyck. Question number six. One goal of this event was to resolve a split between Alexander I of Alexandria and Melitius. This event, presided over by Josias of Cordova, resulted in adoption of a document which controversially used the word homoousia, meaning of one substance, and affirmed the views of Athanasius. The Arian heresies condemned by this meeting convened by Constantine I. That's correct. Pretend over to my left. Number 7. A pair of works known as the Poem of the Pentar and the Bulletin record the events of this battle, in which one side captured Upi, taking place along the Orontes River. This engagement is considered the earliest edge. That is correct for point over here to my right to the challenger. Number 8. In Hamden, a museum located on a gun factory created by this man also has exhibits on erector set and American flyer trains inventor Alfred Carlton Gilbert. This man is credited by Joseph Rowe as being the inventor of the milling machine, and he married Jonathan Edwards' granddaughter, Henrietta. This man visited Catherine Green at Mulberry Grove, and he made a device to remove cotton seeds. Okay. That is the guy over there, Redwood. So we finished the first 8 questions, and this is a tough set. The score at this juncture is
Redwood is left. Challenge.
there's a lot going on in your school name. The second part includes Zone's question. Now, I will take the first answer directed at me unless you have a captivish person who will be your official spokesperson. I believe it is you over here and over here. Very good. I appreciate that. So, we're ready for the second quarter. Toss us the notes. Here we go. According to Al-Tabari, this kingdom was defeated by the Sasanian general Wabez in 2 related invasions. Starting around 800 CE, this kingdom's capital was relocated from the namesake city to Kubar. The possibly legendary Jewish queen Judith destroyed this kingdom and legendarily burned all its churches. For 10 points, name this ancient Christian kingdom based in contemporary northern Ethiopia. That is correct. And now I'm going to ask some bonus questions to you. Bonus number 1, field trips. Due to Nuwausa's persecution of Christians in this region, Otso invaded and briefly annexed the Himyarite kingdom in this region across the strait. That is correct. So you get 10 and 10. Question number 2. House Resolution 180 created an early iteration of this sub-organization through which Hamilton Fish III investigated the ACLU. Edward J. Hart became the first chair of this committee when it attained standing status in 1945 under Martin Dees. This group authored a yellow report to justify Japanese internment, bringing espionage charges against Alger Hiss for 10 points. What was this congressional committee? I'll continue, which was central to the Red Scare. Both were interesting organizations. This was something called the House Un-American Activities Committee, also known as HUAC. So we go to number 3. This man's discoveries include a converging series for 1 over pi involving factorial terms and powers of 396. This man's lost notebook was rediscovered. Yes, for the point, here's your bonus question. In 1919, Raman Mujan became the first Indian to be elected a fellow of this Cambridge constituent college, whose alumni include Isaac Newton and Lord Byron. Captain. Yes, it is, for another 10 points. Toss up number 4. A novel by this author, subtitled The Sources of the Susquehanna, discusses environmental shifts to Lake Otsego and takes its setting of Templeton from an upstate New York farm his father founded after the Revolutionary War. This author of The Pioneers wrote a novel in which Cora, Alice are captured by the indigenous. That is correct. James Airmore Cooper. The Last of the Vegans is part of a five-book series that follows Natty Bumppo through different stages of his life, from youth to old age, and also describes life on the colonial frontier. What is this five-book series called? That is correct. Number five. After she was kidnapped, this woman's husband asked Artemis to kill her. An object worn by this woman at her wedding was made into the constellation Corona Borealis. After the women of Lemnos killed all of the men on their island, this woman's son, Thoas, was the sole survivor. To help one hero slay a monster owned by her father, Minos, this woman, that is correct. For what years, your bonus? After being abandoned by Theseus on Naxos, this god of revelry found and married Ariadne. Yeah, correct again for another 10. Question 6. McKinley Burnett arranged for 13 families to participate in a legal action that eventually culminated with this Supreme Court case. In this case's outcome, a concurrence by Robert Jackson and a dissent by Stanley Forman Reed were both dropped following a discussion with Earl Warren. Brownie board it is for 10. Here's bonus. In Griggs v. Ellis. But you did get this bonus. In Griggs v. Elliott, one of the component cases of Brown, Kenneth and Amy Clark provided expert testimony involving their study of these sub-objects, which were used to show that children preferred toys coated white as opposed to black. That's correct. Is it? Toss-up 7. Vo Lin Jia said of this event, absolutely nothing happened. Squadron 135 was commanded by the Van brothers in this event, which was triggered by the De Soto program's use of the USS Maddox and let her namesake. These would be worth saying. Um, no, I'm sorry. Fine. You have said the magic 3 words. Gulf of Tonkin is what I needed. You said Gulf of Tonkin incident. The point here is your bonus. Vo Nguyen Giap commanded the Viet Minh forces at this decisive 1954 victory over the French, which led to their expulsion from Indochina. Yes, it is. So 10 there. Number 8. This object was planned to be succeeded by the H class. This object was initially engaged by the King George V and the Rodney, and this vessel, along with the Prinz Eugene, attempted to escape the North Sea in Operation Rheineboom. This ship was severely damaged by 16 very swordfishes from Park Royal after sinking the hood, including, yes, it is, sink the Bismarck. Boats in Bismarck was built in a shipyard of this free and Hanseatic city at the southern tip of the Jutland Peninsula, a city that was heavily bombed in a 1943 operation called Operation Gomorrah. Hamburg. So, you didn't pick up that bonus, but we have a really hot game going here with the score up.
So we decided
Okay, so the team in the lead at the moment is Challenger. Because of yourself. Oh, of course. Yes, substitutes may be made. I was noting that there would be unlikely substitutions on my right. Thank you, good. Appreciate that. And so, over on my right, you have your choice from among 3 categories. Challenger, here's what you get to challenge. Women's suffrage, Italian culinary history, Brazil. Brazil's trying device.
yeah.
Would you mind doing that?
One title for you.
I hear you. We're busy finding our timing device. Yeah. Okay. Brazil it is. The way I typically do this is I will read the question, and after you give me the response, I'll move on to the next question. I will not indicate correct or incorrect in order to save time. Make sense? So here we go. And before we start, would you guys also like this?
Yes.
Okay, you have chosen Brazil as the category. Thank you, Luke. And we'll start after I say the word name the. So here we go. Concerning the history of Brazil, name the one international athletic event Brazil first attended in 1920, nearly a century before hosting in 2016. A nation led from Lisbon, or the first name. Second most populous Brazilian city in which the Christ the Redeemer stepped in. Neighboring country that favored Germany during World War II, leading Brazil to closely align with the U.S. Conservative president whose controversial COVID response partly led to his defeat by Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva in 2023. Magnanimous leader, the last ruler of the Empire of Brazil, a title he held from 1831 to 1889. Wrong.
Second.
You have claimed the category. He's second.
Yeah.
They get 60 postponed.
Yeah, 100. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So we got it. You over here. They are point votes between the categories. Doesn't happen often. So yeah, really commendable. Over here, you guys, you have to choose between women's suffrage and Italian culinary history. You want women's suffrage. Okay, once again, Luke is putting 60 on the clock, other than the 50 answer. And concerning U.S. women's suffrage, name the one right for which women suffragists fought, allowing them to elect candidates to the ballot box. Adjective describing the 2,000 women who protested about speaking in 1917 and became known as the Blank Sentinels. Number of the constitutional amendment gave suffragists the right they sought. Woman depicted on a dollar coin was arrested in 1873 for attempting to use a ballot box. Pardon me? Yeah. Principal author of the Declaration of Sentiments, who shares her surname with the Reconstruction Secretary of War. Upstate New York town named for an 1848 convention in which the Declaration of Sentiments was introduced. 5 of them. That first one bounces back over here. The right for which women's suffragists fought, allowing them to elect candidates at the ballot box. Voting was just it. It was confusing, wasn't it? I can't comment to that. So we have to, in our judgment, such as it is, believe that we were in fact audible on that. It just was an awkwardly phrased question. It's kind of like it.
Who said the ruling that was, you should have said that during the question? You would have said that, then right then and there, to get that rightfully there, but since it's passed, you have to accept it as we've done this.
Yeah, I'm sorry if there was some sort of weird thing involved. I thought I was pretty clear on it. I did think it was an awkwardly phrased question, to be sure. Which is my way of reflecting the blame from me. Okay, so we're at the end of the third quarter, and we now get the score update up. You were putting up some big numbers here. Due to the fourth quarter, questions can be worth 30, 20, or 10. If you were to get all 8 of them at 30 points each, that's still 240 potential points to be earned. So lots of points to be earned. Anybody's game here. We come with question number 1 in the fourth quarter. Arda Bosnis advised that one side in this battle sent infantry over the Armenian mountains, but was ignored for a desert trip led by an Arab loyal to Orodes. Upon seeing distant cataphracts draped in blankets, Romans in this battle formed a giant square that was encircled by enemy horsemen. according to legend. That is correct. And that is for 20 points. Number two. The African Methodist Episcopal Church was founded in this city, where James Wilson was the founding professor of a certain law school. In 1793, it was the site of a major yellow fever outbreak. This is correct, and that is for 30 points. Question three. While describing the second pylon of one site, Emmanuel de Rouget first coined the term for this group, who are portrayed on the northern wall of the Medinet Habu. Though not explicitly mentioned, this group may have fought the Battle of Pereire against the 19th dynasty's leader, Merneptah. These people are thought to No, I'll continue. These people were thought to have originated as a thalassocracy and had their activities analyzed within an invasion hypothesis. For 10 points, name these people who carried out naval attacks against Egypt. Yeah, Tim. They were simply known as the Sea Peoples. Question number four. Oh, no. Is there a question? I think that's somebody else's company. Okay, here we go to question number four. Apparently, timeouts are not part of the rules at this tournament. No timeouts. A player can say something to me like, okay, give me a moment, and I'll give you a moment. You got your moment? Feeling good? All right, I can tell. Here we go then with question number four. This author depicted Sammy Sager and Lou Rabinowitz, who fought in World War II, in his novel Closing Time. This author's time in the Army Air Corps inspired a novel in which Dr. Nika refuses to allow anyone to plead insanity to escape service. Colonel Cathcart. Yeah, that is correct for 20. So wander on and mention catch 22. Question number five. Lon Nol was a dictator of this country before being exiled. That is correct for 30. That was relatively rapidly buzzed. Question number six. During this battle, 200 Tufanks lined up in a set of 9 rows in the first instance of a certain type of firearms kneeling position. The death of Matthias Corvinus. That is correct. And that is so dirty. Question number 7. In the 1852 presidential election, this political party ran John P. Hale and George Washington Julian, and during the 1852 convention for this party, Frederick Douglass was the secretary. In 1848, Martin Van Buren failed to win. That is correct for 20. And the last question du jour, the last question of the tournament is this. Pieces of this versatile material from 2nd century BCE China predate the oft-repeated credit given to Han Dynasty eunuch Kai Lung for developing it. No, I'll continue. In Jiaozi, this material was used to create a product that featured two-dimensional seals to prevent fraud. And this starts paper. So we are done, and we have game, set, match, and this year's national. Bradley himself had handing things out. We're now going to present the awards. Have at it. All right, so but one more time, let's get the round of applause. $290 points.
challenge. Right. Okay, good. Congratulations. We hope to see you next year. Oh, nice. Want to do it by the rest of the time? Okay, we're saying, I'm not that at all. We're when you start thin, I see it's not done. It still looks like the wrong answer. See that one, right? It's not going to be yeah, it's get the answer me really. They go to the answer was here. Just like a whole like you said. I should stop.